That what happens in New Hampshire when you say that, because they used to have town hall meetings, everybody comes outside and listens. We got to do
even the animals. There's a bunch of toads and
we got to do one across the street in the big hall.
Yeah, we got to do that next month.
It looks like
invite
like
some friends.
New England meeting hall. I'd like to see us do a dramatic rendition of Our Town by Thornton Wilder. It was one of the first plays I ever saw, not live. I saw it on television, and it really got to me because there's a scene where they bury one of the beautiful ladies in the town, and the way they did it in this television production, they like showed you putting her in the grave. And I can't remember if this is before or after I had done funerals as an altar boy, because they spooked me too. But I continued to do the funerals as an altar boy because it got me out of class. I was willing to put up with whatever fear I had of death to get out of the nuns hitting me across the hands for talking too much. Well, it looks like Columbia has made a sensible decision, as opposed to Harvard, which hasn't made a sensible decision since it stopped being a religious school. Do you realize how phony all that crap is? I mean, I've known it for years. It's really great to see it all fall apart. Well, they are going to, can we put this up, Ted? To make it easier. Just everybody know. Columbia agrees to pay the federal government $200 million to settle claims of unlawful racial discrimination and provide the federal government with hiring and admissions data. Remember, there's no doubt they were doing the same thing Harvard was doing, which they were found guilty of, which is to discriminate, not just talking about Jewish people, against Asian people. Harvard was found guilty of that already, but they want to fight. Like they weren't, you watched last year, they weren't a bunch of Jew haters that allowed Jew hating to go on with the professors involved in it completely. They weren't patting the people who were aiding and abetting the Hamas terrorists and animals on the back. Of course they were. Agrees to pay $20 million to Jewish employees to settle claims of post-October 7 rights violations, particularly harassment that they allowed and that was coming from their employees. Because a lot of the faculty of Harvard and of Columbia are anti-Semitic, which would also mean they're stupid. You're really stupid if you're anti-Semitic. And in addition to be morally flawed, you're stupid. That kind of racial, religious prejudice is a sign of, I don't know if it's a sign of stupidity. To me, it is. Maybe in a very intelligent person, it may be not only a character flaw, it may be like an illness, like an emotional illness, like you're insecure and you have to have somebody below you. You have to have somebody to pick on in a definitive way. They agree to share relevant data on foreign applicants and the U.S. government with the U.S. government. Now, Harvard is refusing to do this, and Harvard is now. We concluded, Ted and I, and we are now withdrawing officially our conclusion that
this is
Columbia
official now.
Was more hated Jews more than Harvard when we did our survey last year. It is now quite obvious that whether that was true then or not, the hatred of Jewish people in Harvard still continues. Whereas in Columbia, they're making, it appears to be, a good faith effort to fix it. And for that, I congratulate them. And really hope this is in good faith. And we put this behind us. This is something we should have put behind us the day Jesus said that he forgave everybody. I mean, first of all, the Jewish people didn't kill him. I don't think the Roman people killed him. I'm Italian. I don't think the Roman people killed him. The ones who were there killed him. I mean, a lot of Jewish people, a lot of Italian people, a lot of German people, a lot of Spanish people have killed a lot of people. Are we responsible for all that? No, we're responsible for what we did. To go after Jewish people like the idiots in the Dark Ages, I thought it would be the Dark Ages, because they're Christ killers, is ridiculous. And it's really ridiculous if you're doing it for Christ, because Christ told you to forgive everybody. He's not Muhammad. This isn't Muhammad. Christ is not Muhammad, please. We belong to a different religion. Our religion doesn't teach murder. Our religion doesn't tell us to murder people who disagree with us. Our religion tells us to love people who disagree with us, to love people who harm us. Muhammad told them to kill the infidels. Do you see a difference? And do you see how we are brainwashing people when we don't point out that difference? I didn't make that up because I'm prejudiced against Muslims. I'm not prejudiced against Muslims. Except I can read. I would be prejudiced against Muslims, but I'm afraid to tell you the truth about their religion. Agrees to implement the ban on mass protests. It's private property. You come on that private property, we got to know who you are. There's even a doubt about it. You want to get into constitutional things someplace else, I think that's also ridiculous. But here, it's very simple. You want to be a big hater of Jewish people. You want to be a big supporter of homicidal maniac terrorists like Hamas and a good many of the Palestinian people. I said a good many, not all, but it also didn't limit it to Hamas. It agrees to cooperate with the NYPD. Well, I guess the new mayor will change that, because he says the NYPD are all fools, racists, and killers. Mandami. Disciplinary matters moved to purview of office of the provost from faculty senate. Now, I imagine that's done because the faculty senate is made up of people who hate Jews as much as the demonstrators. Agrees to establishment of independent monitor and administrator to ensure compliance. Well, that's in the proof there is in what happens. The one I need to explain to you, because Harvard complains about this, is why should the government know about all of our foreign students? Because foreign governments use our educational institution to undermine us. That's why. Foreign governments use it to try to overthrow our government through brainwashing our children to hate America. That's why. And if we want to preserve the America that we know and love, we've let it go very, very far. And this is the first president, God bless him, to put a halt to it. Should have been done 30 or 40 years ago. Now, did we know all the facts? No. Did we suspect them? Yeah. Has the teachers union and the other educational organizations going up to the highest levels been complicit with so many Marxists in it? Yes. That's one of the most important things. Also, whether you're going to Columbia, Harvard, or Timbuktu, you have no right to come into this country unless the government allows you in. So whether you're coming in to go to Columbia or you're coming in to work, the government has a right to say yay or nay. Not everybody that wants to come to this country can come to this country. There'd be no country if that were the rule. We almost got there with Biden. This is a good settlement. It's also reflected in the fact that there have been recent demonstrations and Columbia has suspended the students and has treated it very, very differently. And apparently the president of Columbia is fully supportive and is not making statements out of both sides of her mouth like the other one was, who got fired. And I do think that and I'm not going to go over the proof that supports this. You saw it with your own eyes. And Harvard as bad or worse, and Harvard's gotten worse now. All I say to Harvard is, stop it. You're not fighting for you don't have academic freedom at Harvard. You got to be a Democrat, first of all. You can't be a Republican at Harvard. And most of your professors are going to probably fail you if you write a paper about how Trump's handling of the border was probably one of the most brilliant things an American president did. I mean, the place is totally warped. So don't give me this academic freedom bullshit. Right-wing speaker can't speak, only a left-wing speaker. That's academic freedom. No, that's 1984 Orwellian communism. So cut out this academic freedom crap. You don't have, you're not academically free to attack people based on race, religion, ethnic background, and other things and get government money. Sorry. Even if you are Harvard. And if you send your kid to Harvard, you're out of your effing mind. So let's hope that this Columbia thing, because Columbia, it's not Harvard, I know. There are people who used to think it was a better school. I don't know. I mean, I don't know for sure. All of them have to really start teaching again before they can even be considered schools. They're brainwashing institutions. I mean, I don't know how many of these kids know history. They don't teach history. You know, anti-Semitism is so bad that people are attacking Ozzy Osbourne, as you know, died, right? So Ozzy Osbourne was he's pretty much left, right? Very left. And he did things that I would find, difficult, but I feel very sorry that he died. And he had a certain level of musical gift. I have to be silent on that because I don't consider any of them gifted. I'm an opera, a classical music fan. It's not because I try to be better than anybody else. It just happened to me because I'm Italian. I don't know. Happened to me before I even knew that you had that. I don't even like the fact that it's sort of elitist or whatever. But I started listening to the 1812 Overture and Handel's Julius Caesar and Rigoletto and Traviata, and then Beethoven symphonies and Mahler, and you think I can listen to Ozzy Osbourne?
Ozzy, we got to get our.
I just produced noise, but they're going after him because he's I don't know what he is. He's a Zionist. Ozzy Osbourne was a supporter of Zionism, says Antifa Ultras on X. He broke the boycott by performing in Israel. The boycott wants to destroy the state of Israel. The boycott is to cut them off so they have no money, food, or anything, and they all leave so that we send them from the river to the sea. Not that it really matters because these idiots don't know what river or what sea they're talking about. In 2010, Ozzy performed in Tel Aviv, and then in 2018, he was part of the No More Tours 2 tour, whatever that was. He's a proud socialist, but they point out he has a stain on his legacy, and that is he didn't come out the right way on the Israel-Hamas war. He should be supporting the terrorists. Well, I guess if he's a socialist, he probably should, but he didn't. And to his credit, he is not Jewish. He is married to a Jewish woman. He felt that there was in our society, reemerging, the great and unbelievably horrible evil, prejudice that is by far the most long-standing, the most damaging prejudice human beings have ever had against the Jewish people. And whatever your agreement or disagreement with him on other political issues or the quality or lack thereof of his music, I respect him for that. And respect him to be able to see in a somewhat contrary way to where his political ideology kind of wanted to force him. That's a tough thing to do. But I raise it, first of all, to say whatever his political views or his music, and I honestly don't know it all that well. May God grant him mercy and love and help his family embrace this loss. Like every human being, he's entitled to. I have no, what do you mean he's entitled to? He has the love of God, whether Giuliani wants him to have it or not. We all do. He's God's creature, not mine. I have a right to disagree with him, but I don't have a right to hate him. And I have a right to respect him when he does something I think is right. And I have a right to point out how crazy these people are, to go after him because he was upset because a homicidal, bloodthirsty terrorist group invaded Israel with the sole purpose of killing civilians, and civilians who were probably peaceful civilians, so they could create even more of a shock value, and did a lot of it in front of the parents and did a lot of it in front of the children, and also decided it was useful to rape in the name of freedom. And we have running around this country all kinds of people supporting them, including the guy who's running for mayor of New York, Mondami. Now, Mondami is an interesting fix, Ted. Here's the fix. So it has been leaked by a Republican who put his name to it, and also supported by Democrats who have not, that Hakeem Jeffries is extremely worried that if Mondami is elected, they will have no chance of holding on to the House, because us evil Republicans will run against him in every place in America. He'll become our symbol of the Democrat Party. And Jeffries is not educated or intelligent enough to understand this, but this is exactly what we did in 2010 when we wiped the shit out of them with Nancy Pelosi. Now, she made a comeback, but she was great for us in 2010, boy. We won the House by like 70, 80 votes because you went around the country and said, you want to see Nancy Pelosi every Sunday on your television? You know how you can get rid of her? Vote for the Republican, don't vote. You like the Democrat, but you don't like Nancy, right? She wants to make you a communist country, doesn't she? Now, to her credit, she made a comeback. Not to her credit, to her benefit. Who knows how much of her millions she and her husband made on insider trading after their comeback. I mean, those people, you think her main job was not being speaker. Her main job was getting tips for her husband, who made multiple millions and millions doing something that if you did it or I did it, we'd be in the big house. But she's Nancy from Baltimore. And she can do everything she wants, and she can push people around. She's a really good Catholic, very, very good Catholic, who just thinks it's okay to murder babies. It's okay, murder babies. Women's rights. If it's a 6 or 7 or 8 month old and mommy wants to get rid of it, kill it. Good Catholic. Good human. So Hakeem is like going nuts. Now, with his limited resources, this could be very dangerous. Who knows what he'll do to himself? But he's supposed to meet with Mondami. Now, should we point out, if it hasn't been pointed out to him, that Mondami doesn't like him? Mondami really seems to despise him. Mondami has pointed out that he believes that if Mondami believes that Jeffries is a pawn of the Jewish community. and that he has attacked him. He has attacked him personally and by name for being a out-of-control Zionist. Okay?
Right.
Now, how are these guys going to sit down and what's Mondami going to say? I don't agree anymore. You're not you're no longer a. I mean, it sounds like he is. If that's the way you want to interpret it, because I don't understand how the guy's a nominee of your party. You got to meet with him before you endorse him. What's wrong with him? You only do that when there's something wrong with the guy, right? I mean, the Republican primary is over. Republican Party selects a candidate. I'm going to probably endorse that candidate. If I'm going to meet with him, it means I have a problem. If the guy attacked me personally 2 or 3 times, well, I'm not an ass slicker like Jeffrey, so you wouldn't see me doing it. Now, Jeffrey seems to be worried about the fact that his hips are too big. Do you know that? Have you seen those?
Yeah, right.
Have you seen any of those?
Yes.
I think I have one. Let me see if I can find it.
I'm preparing a clip.
Oh, here it is. So it looks like he's doing his own. Put that up there. It looks like you see how that fence is like that? The experts say that was altered photography to
That's
move his
obviously
hips in
Photoshop.
because he's starting to develop a fat ass.
Oh, geez. He literally Photoshopped the picture.
What a sissy.
Yeah, also, why?
What a phony,
What the hell's the point of
jerk
that?
off sissy.
We're getting a clip ready here, Mayor. Sorry.
And let's see if he sucks up to Mondami. After Mondami, I don't know, Mondami may have sent something like I don't know if he said I got to find the exact quote. I know he accused him of being a puppet of the Jewish community, which he thinks a lot of the Democrat Party is. They sure as hell aren't, because they never speak out for the Jewish community anymore. And it seems like when Mondami says all of these horrible things, or AOC, or the one who's married to her brother, or the other ones, they're very, very quiet. They all seem to go into that basement Biden had must be very, very big. They all seem to go into the basement. Well, we're going to take a short break, and we will be right back. No, we're not going to take a short break? Okay. U.S. Army Major Scott Smiley paid a high price serving our nation. Scott was leading his platoon in Iraq when a blast sent shrapnel through his eyes, leaving him blind and temporarily paralyzed. Scott would become the first blind active duty military officer before medically retiring years later. Thanks to friends like you, the Tunnel to Towers Foundation gave Scott and his family a mortgage-free, specially adapted smart home. Show your support for America's heroes now. Donate $11 a month to Tunnel to Towers at T2T.org.
Are you ready for some action?
I'm ready for action.
Get the Elite TV plan only through the portal. 218 channels, and it's only $69.95 a month,
Wow.
including your free portal.
That's cheaper than everyone else.
Your favorite sports, movies, news,
Wow.
even daytime dramas. We're talking about ESPN, OAN, Newsmax,
Wow.
channels you can't get anymore in certain areas.
Compared to the competition, this is a way better deal.
Endless selection. Not to mention all the free music channels. There's over 700 premium and classic movies all ready to go.
Wow.
Plus, they got catch-up TV that allows you to go back and watch what you've missed or want to watch again. Cut your cable in half and get twice as much for free.
Way more channels for half the cost.
After the first year, the subscription then drops to $57.95 monthly,
Wow.
where you change or upgrade anytime. Go to QUXNow.com and get yours today. Use promo code RUDY. Act fast.
Here we are, pretty much at the beginning of the process here at this pristine, I call it a laboratory, or
not like a factory, it's like a hospital. This is the beginning of the process for roasting. Deep grain, very good quality. Most people don't use this quality. We deal with small farmers because we like to know who we're dealing with. They give us the highest quality, all organic, non-GMO. You should know all Arabica beans, no Robusto, all Arabica. They're going to go into the roaster and it'll get roasted for about 20 minutes or so. Oh my goodness, look at these. My goodness. You're going to want to specially order these. This is what goes into Rudy's coffee.
Welcome back to America's Mayor Live. Now, I spent a great deal of time on my earlier show vindicating myself. I don't know if I should do that. Well, actually, Ed Henry did it for me last night, and I was very impressed. And I haven't had a chance to.
He wants you on next week.
I haven't had a chance to tell Ed, thank you for remembering. But last night, when he was pointing out one of the discoveries in the material released by Tulsi Gabbard about how the whole Democrat Russian collusion thing was a lot more deep and a lot more collusive and a lot more arranged by Obama. And I mean, of course, you knew that. You're people of common sense, and you knew they were hiding this evidence. I mean, today, some of the congressmen that wrote, even some of the senators and congressmen of the Republicans who wrote the original report that said that there was a very heavy Russian involvement in the election trying to help Trump, even though Trump did not collude with them. We all knew that that was not true. Well, it turns out we now have it in writing. So we've been through some of that. We'll get through all of it. But here's the one that involves me. So there's a report that they now have found that goes back to September 18-19 of 2016. So that's right near the end of the presidential election, right? And in that report, Vladimir Putin has to make a decision. And here's the decision. They have compiled a very, very big intelligence report because they do what we do. They spy. And apparently they were hacking her and hacking Trump. And what they had on her was she was very ill. Really ill. And she was taking a lot of wacko drugs for the head, like those kinds. And if I recall correctly, she had several other diseases, but she's taken all kinds of medicines, and she was in very serious condition. And it looked like she really couldn't function as president. Sound familiar? And Vladimir had to decide, should I put this out? She had the doctors, the hospitals, probably violated our HIPAA laws. What does he care? He had the reports. He could just put it all out. And he decided not to because they were convinced they'd be better off with Hillary as the president than Trump. Now, that completely contradicts what the bipartisan report, in which many Republicans have stood behind it like it's the truth, said. Even I hope Marco changes his mind about this because Marco was part of that committee, Rubio. I knew it was bullshit at the time that it happened. And I knew that Republicans just got it, here, sign it, jackasses. Just do what we tell you. And Trump's a bum anyway. Sad. Sometimes we didn't have, they got a lot of crooked people, but they're tough. We got a lot of honest people, but we're weak. The ones I like are the honest, tough ones. So this is important to me because starting somewhere in late July, early August, I noticed that Hillary was, and I know Hillary for a long, long time, and I saw her all through September 11, right? And she wasn't herself. I would say it went back several months. And I was on television reporting this maybe for about 3 months and getting attacked bitterly by the Jake Tappers and all the crooks that are still on. They don't really get held accountable. They write books as if they didn't know. So I found one clip, which is August. I want to remind you that on September 11th of 2016, Hillary Clinton collapsed at the September 11 commemoration. Now, I should tell you the background of that. About 2 months before that, I had been watching her, and I had been telling people in the campaign, and eventually the candidate, my friend Donald at the time, which is what I called him then, now Mr. President, that she's slipping. Something's going on. Even her thought process isn't working. I said, she's going to collapse at some point. And she's getting really... and here's one example. What's the date of this? August what?
22nd.
Yeah, we'll find more of them because I went into more detail in some of them. But this one was on Fox, I think.
This was on Bloomberg. Just give me a second here.
Oh, really?
This was on Bloomberg. Well, Bloomberg had a show at the time.
Well, let's watch it.
Yep. Just going to take a
It seemed to me like there were Fox reporters who were questioning.
No,
Go ahead.
No. Oh, you were on Fox. You're right. But this report is from Bloomberg. You're right. It was on Fox. We're going to get it here.
Yeah,
They're
Fox
playing an
probably,
ad for us. This is we have to.
Fox probably did away with it.
Yeah, right. All right, here we go. It's going to take a second. We have to play their ads here. Here we go. See if they might be muted here.
Appointed police chiefs pretending she's pro. When I saw Hillary at the press conference sitting down with the police, with the Democrat appointed police chiefs pretending she's pro-police, it was one of the most pathetic press conferences I've ever seen.
What do you mean?
Well, first of all, she looks sick.
So that's one example. We're going to try to find some more.
Unfortunately, we haven't been able to get them all in this short period of time. We're going to try to get them all, and who knows how many of them haven't been, particularly by Fox, who doesn't let me on anymore. And they're big on free speech. So during that period of time, I was tracking her. And I started telling the president, Mr. President, September 11, you should come to the ceremony that we have every year when we read the names. And at first, he thought it might be unseemly because he hadn't gone before. I said, I know, but a lot of people haven't gone to that. Not everybody is invited to it. And, but you deserve to go more than half the people, or 2/3 or 3/4 did go. You contributed a lot, you, George, a lot of people. You contribute a great deal to helping us. I can give you chapter and verse on that, as I did. And I said, and they're trying to make it as if you're bragging about it. And if anything, you've been understated about it. So I'd like you to come. And at that point, they hadn't developed a tremendous hatred for me that they did. I mean, I haven't been through Biden lawfare or the New York Bar Association persecuting me, or the Washington Bar Association, or the Soros money put up to go after me. I was still kind of a hero for September 11. I said, if I bring you, it'll be fine. I mean, I'm very much wanted there, and most of the people there relate to me, not the new. I mean, they like Mike, but Mike didn't lead him through September 11. I mean, he got him through the recovery, but not through the day. I said, you'll be fine. He said, okay, I'll come. Now I said, but I got to tell you my ulterior motive, because you have to know this if you approve this. He said, what is it? I said, I think she's going to collapse. I know you're not going to believe me. I don't think anybody believes me when I tell them this, but it's true. I said, I think she's going to collapse. And I think we just have to stay there for 2 hours and she'll go down. He said, really? I said, I've been telling you for weeks that she's sick. And I told Jared this, and I told Bannon this, and they all looked at me like I was a little wacky. I knew it. I could feel it. I don't know why. I mean, I knew she was sick. I knew she was going to go down. I had been at that event with her other times, and I had seen her wobble. I said, just. So the president said, okay. And we went early. We were there. And we were there about, I'd say, 2 hours into it. And Hillary looked okay. The president said, she looks fine to me. I said, just, I don't know. Give it another half hour. So we waited another half hour. And John Houvain, who I had on my earlier show, just so somebody else could tell you this, so you'd believe it, came up to me and said, well, you know, Mayor, you stayed longer than we thought. So I got to tell you what happened. What really happened, because I never told you this part of it. This is years later, right? I really wanted one of my little stinky cigars. I hated these cigars that he had. And he would never smoke them around me, and he would never smoke them in an event like that. So he went out. As he went out, he was right by the car that Hillary was going to come into. And he sees Hillary go down like the Queen Mary. He comes, puts out the thing, comes running back to me, says, boss. And of course, I've been talking to him and Bo Wagner about it. They were my security people to watch her. And he said, I think she got a stroke. But they got her, you can't believe how the Secret Service got her off. They won't tell anybody where she's going. And I said, well, come on, John, trace it. I mean, John was a New York City first-degree detective. John can get you anything in the city. And then Trump and I stayed a while longer. We got in the car and we found out the following. The Secret Service was supposed to take her to a hospital. They have all these hospitals that you go to. They wouldn't take her to a hospital. They took her to her daughter's residence where they got her own personal doctor so there'd be no record of it. And they tried to stop anyone from putting out a picture of it, the video of it. The rest of it, the video got out. I'm not going to tell you how, but I got it out that night. And you want to see it? When I got back to the campaign that day after it was over, Jared named me Dr. Giuliani. And I had two days of great respect. No, I always had respect, and I loved them very much. But, you know, in a campaign, you have a lot of different opinions, and sometimes you're right, and sometimes you're wrong. And weirdly, I was a prophet on this. But let's show them this. And the thing about this that's interesting is Putin is tracking all this. If you go look at the intelligence reports, you'll see an intelligence report about this. And he was looking at the same thing I was looking at. He's got reports going back to June and July. When I was saying she looked sick, he was getting reports that he was getting reports from the hospital that she was really sick.
And this is, you want to play the video?
Yeah.
All right. This is September 11th, 2016. There she is. Up, and down she goes. You notice the swarm around her. Here it comes again. Here's another view. Let's see if we can play that. See if we get any sound here. I don't know. But there she is. All right. You can still talk if you want to.
Well,
wow. That's quite the video, Mayor.
They did everything they could to suppress that. Everything they could. It was a single incident. She got overheated. Now, if you want to take a look at the Gabbard report and dig out the documents that the Soviets or the Russians acquired, this was a very serious illness that she was being treated for, several of them. And they have the hospital records that they shouldn't have. This was a conspiracy to elect Trump, but Putin decided not to put the documents out because he really wanted Hillary. So now all my Republican rhino friends who are still standing by their report back in 17, that the Russians really wanted Trump. Would you like to apologize? How about the press that covered this up when this was signs of real serious illness? Now that they see the hospital report, you want to apologize to me? And if you did, you know what I would tell you? Shove it. Because you're not worth anything. Your apology is not worth anything because you are enemies of this country. You know, when the president said the press was enemies of this country, everyone went crazy. Was he right? When you print lies like this, when you, as the president of the United States, preside over an effort to remove a duly elected president based upon evidence that you know not only is false, but you know it was paid for illegally. He knew all that. Obama did. When you let Hunter Biden remain in Ukraine, when you find out that he's there and you appointed his father to straighten out corruption in the Ukraine, you got to be some major effing liar, right? Which is what Obama is. And was it treason? It was treasonous. It wasn't treason based on the very, very strict definition of the United States Constitution. Was it an attack against the integrity of the government of the United States? You're damn right it was. Was it a lot worse than January 6th? By 1,000 years. And was it done by a group of thorough, 100% anti-American criminals? Obama, Hillary, Biden? Yep. And why does that party have such problems? Why do they get led to the immoral conclusion on almost every situation? Men should be able to box with women. Men should be able to go into ladies' rooms. A 12-year-old boy should be able to go to Minneapolis, Minnesota, have his penis taken off without telling his parents. They believe in that. That's the law under Tampon Tim, who they never investigated, and he damn looks like an operative for the Red Chinese. Nobody's ever explained to me his 60 visits to China or the money he got from Red China. Oh, nor has anybody ever explained to me the 20 to 30 million the Bidens got from Red China. But they don't have to explain it because they are the crooked dictators who were running this country like it was worse than a banana republic. And because Trump is straightening it out, they're trying every damn thing they can to undermine him, including this Epstein thing. I'm not going to tell you this thing was handled, 100% correctly with all the P's and Q's by anybody, but certainly not by them. If there's somewhere hidden here incriminating evidence we don't know about, what was Biden sitting on it for? Well, maybe we'll find out. Maybe we'll find out. Do we have any report, Ted, on what happened today at the Maxwell interview with the Deputy Attorney General? Great question. So Elaine Maxwell's attorney, you might know this gentleman, David Marcus. Yeah, I know him. He made some comments right after. I haven't seen the full remarks, but we'll watch them. I know the comments he made were very laudatory about the Trump administration being willing to get to the truth. But of course, he's. This is no any criticism of David Marcus at all. I probably would have done the same thing. But he's going to suck up to the administration as much as possible. He wants to get the best deal for his client. Right. That's what he's supposed to do. That's what they wanted to put me in jail for. So keep that in mind. The mayor made a very good point. Keep that in mind as you watch this.
Productive day today with the Deputy Attorney General Todd Blanche and Ghislaine Maxwell. First, we want to thank the Deputy Attorney General for being so professional with all of us and for meeting with us. He took a full day and asked a lot of questions and Miss Maxwell answered every single question. She never stopped, she never invoked a privilege. She never declined to answer. She answered all the questions truthfully, honestly, and to the best of her ability. And that's all the comment we're gonna have today about the meeting. We don't wanna comment about the substance of the meeting for obvious reasons, and we'll go from there. So thank you all so much.
Will you guys be coming back for a second day?
We're not gonna comment on that now. Thank you.
So he's not.
Well, that's about as professional as you can get. Now, I mean that. So let's suppose she spilled the beans, or she didn't give as much as Todd thought she should, or whatever it is. That's what he's supposed to say. This isn't one of those creep bum Democrat lawyers who would come out and lie about what happened inside. He's doing what he has to do for his client, trying to put the best possible face on it. Now, I can't imagine he's not telling the truth. We'll find out. I mean, did she invoke a privilege? He said she didn't. I have to assume he's not stupid enough to say she didn't invoke a privilege when she did, when in fact, that's an easy thing for Todd Blanche. He would be violating nothing by saying, well, he's lying about that. So we'll have to see. At least now they know what the most important witness, as far as we know, to this is willing to say. There is a certain amount, as I reflect on it, outrageousness that this was never done by the Biden administration, that they never tried to put her in a position of making her testify. I don't know why. Once she was convicted, they could have put her in front of a grand jury. I mean, she might have invoked her privilege, but that would jam up to a very large extent any possibilities of parole. Or, I mean, I thought immediately upon her conviction, and as soon as it settled in, I mean, the first thing I'd have done is put her in front of a grand jury and said, "Okay, Giselle, you're convicted now. Tell me what happened." I'm not. Okay, good. See if you can get parole, sweetheart. You're not cooperating with the government. You're not showing any remorse. I mean, once a person is in prison, please understand this. I turn so many people. It's like I can
Made
do it in
him
my
cry.
sleep. I dream about it now. All they can think about is getting out. Now, what you don't want to do if you're an honest and honorable prosecutor, which is what I trained all of my people to do. I failed a few times. Like Comey. You got to be careful. All your senses have to be working, and you can't accept everything you're being told. So what you got to be looking for, and what you got to be pushing the witness toward, are things you can corroborate. That'll show little things that'll show they're telling the truth, or they put a meeting at a certain place. Well, then you better go find out. This is exactly what the criminal Comey didn't do with the Steele dossier. The reason I can tell you that Comey is a criminal is that Comey went around giving two versions of the Steele dossier. He signed under oath that it was validated. He told Trump it was never validated. And then he told the press that he couldn't validate it. I think every one is untrue. First of all, there's almost nothing that can't be validated or at least checked out. Even if you fail at it, that tells you something. There's no such, I mean, if he had told me that when he was my assistant, I'd have kicked him out of the office. He may be taller than me, but I'm a lot tougher than he is. I just kicked him right out. What do you, how about this, jackass? The Steele says that Cohen went to Prague on a very important meeting where he was colluding with the Russians for Trump. Okay. Did we get the travel documents? Mm. We check the passports. Mm-mm. What? We just believe Steele? And this is a guy who has a history of lying to us? They eventually kicked him out after a month for lying. Then they paid him $1 million to try to lie the way they wanted him to. I mean, this is so effed up that if they don't prosecute these people, they should all resign. And please, Congress, stay the hell out of it. Please. I see they want to hold. They're going to Cooley. What's his name? The guy who can't investigate anything. He can't. Yeah, James Comer, who somehow can't find the email in which his principal admits the entire crime. Somehow he's missed that. Or the other day, Hunter Biden is on with this reporter who looked like he wanted to smoke dope with him or something.
Gotten on me. Look, I knew this reporter 5 years ago. He wasn't doing political stuff. He was doing like crazy stuff.
Was he like a?
Yeah, and some of his videos were funny.
I mean, I'll tell you what.
Yeah,
He was awful.
Yeah,
the guy should be fired from the journalist profession because he never asked a follow-up question. So Hunter Biden says to him,
First, we want to thank
Giuliani and Eric went to Delaware and turned in these documents about child pornography about me. The guy just sat there like we're the bad guys, haven't done that. He didn't even bother to say, which even a guy who doesn't do his homework would say, well, was there any proof of that? He just assumes that we're a bunch of scum and this degenerate drug addict who was messing around with his sister-in-law and took somewhere around $50 million, about 30 million of it from our enemies, that he's telling the truth, and that the former commissioner of New York City and mayor of New York are lying. Doesn't bother to challenge it. Now, not only does he bother to challenge it, he's too effing lazy to have ever gone through the report before he interviewed him. For that, he should be fired. And he should never be allowed back in journalism, ever. Why? You interview him and you don't do your homework? You're just a lazy bum. Because in the documents that are readily available to the laziest bum reporter is a report in which Hunter Biden says, after he describes how the psychiatrist says he's with these kids in the apartment, minor kids in the apartment, the house. He's running around with no clothes on. He's talking to prostitutes. He's smoking dope in front of the kids. And he's saying all kinds of sexual things. This is what the psychiatrist reports. Hunter says that the girl eventually denied it. The poor niece eventually denied it. There'd be no way the psychiatrist could have known it unless the girl told her that. And in fact, when you look at the hard drive, there are pictures of all that. So it's the truth. Finally, Hunter, who's a hell of a complicated character, after he tells his father that the girl denied it, says, you know that I do constitute a danger to the children. Now, how does this guy let him get away with that and not say, didn't you say you constitute a danger to the children? Wouldn't that be enough to them turn you in? Of course it would. He said he was a danger to the children. You don't know that because everybody covers it up, including Comer. I don't know how he didn't find it. Maybe we should send him a big poster with that written on it. Please, Congress, stay the hell out of it and do what you usually do. You know, work 2.5 days, pass bills where you sacrifice most everything for your I don't know for what, whoever is influencing you, either political, money. Well, the one thing you shouldn't do is investigate. You screw up legislation enough, please stay out of investigating.
Mayor, did Congress ever have the full report from you and Mr. Costello?
They never, ever bothered to ask. Never bothered to ask. And we have all the evidence. And as you see, it's all coming out now. Now,
That's the thing. These are things.
Did Comer have this evidence? No. Did I have this evidence? Yes. How many times in the last year has evidence that's come out is evidence that I already brought out?
It's been
How much evidence has come out is evidence he brought out? None.
Just a lot of press conferences and books.
I don't know if he's complicit, stupid, lazy, or silly. I think it's the last. I think he's silly.
It's a damn shame.
This is work for serious men. And somehow the Congress gave it to a jerk off.
It's
too many mistakes. Too many mistakes. I'm sorry. I was never a very tolerant boss. You fucked up on me and you got fired. This guy did this to me, gone. You missed the admission. This is not a job for you. I mean, go sell suits somewhere. This is serious work for serious men and women, not for people who like to see themselves on television.
And unfortunately, in Congress, it seems like we have more people that are focused on tweets and interviews than they are on taking care of these serious matters.
This was with a serious member of Congress. He had everything. He had all the evidence that he needed to jam Biden up 100 ways to Sunday. And if anything, he created talking points for Biden. And he's still doing it. And they still haven't investigating things.
That's right, Mayor. And the fact that they haven't even, well, let's get that focus.
What happens? I mean, you worked in Congress. I never did.
I
used to go there and
I'm ashamed
to go there and wonder, what are we paying for? But why do they have him? Isn't Johnson tough enough to say, hey, I don't know, go take care of.
Yeah, they had, of course, they had that leadership change. I'm not justifying. I'm just giving some reason. Leadership change, but you ask a good question about.
Did he need his vote?
That's the other thing. You never know, right? The horse trading.
I need a C here. If I don't have a C, I'm gonna be in deep trouble.
I got it right now.
So now they're going to subpoena Clinton. House Oversight Committee Chairman James Comer must formally issue the subpoenas to the Clintons. Why? You're not going to get anything. Yeah. You've been doing this now for 4 or 5 years, and you've gotten. I heard somebody else use this word the other day. Ugats.
What kind of power does that subpoena have?
Oh, I mean, they could require him to show up.
Will they?
I don't know. It's ridiculous.
What will the Clinton lawyers say in order to avoid it?
Oh, they'll use immunity. They'll use executive privilege. They'll use this. They'll use that. And they may show up and make some kind of deal. And then they'll have this like off the record thing. And the Democrats will come out and lie about it. And the Republicans will come out and maybe lie about it. Maybe say nothing about it. Maybe not even understand it.
Right.
Likely not understand it.
That's why we come to you, Mayor.
Somehow I think it's more. I mean, when I listen to Comer being interviewed, I just don't think he has the mental heft to do this. I mean, you got to have like a pretty good brain to do this kind of stuff. That's what I used to do. I spend my time hiring assistant U.S. attorneys. But I mean, the stuff that he overlooked, and then it hurts you because it's hard to go back over it again. It's like the ridiculous report that the Republicans agreed to that they're now using and saying, well, Congress already looked at whether Russia was involved in this. Congress decided in a bipartisan report that the Russians were trying to elect Trump. Yeah, but they didn't have the document that we now have that shows that that Vladimir was fully aware of all of Hillary's serious mental and physical issues and decided not to put it out, so he wouldn't hurt her. Oh, I don't know if you know this. There's also a document showing they had a party after she won. The Russians. The Obama coup investigation handled by a responsible, relatively experienced, good prosecutor. You don't need a special prosecutor. Nothing special about a special prosecutor. Only thing special about a prosecutor is how smart, how tough, and how honest he is. You don't need a strike force. Strike forces are for organized crime, and all you do is ratchet it up. It's all a bunch of publicity bullshit. You need a bunch of good prosecutors, good investigators, put them together in a team, let them work in a U.S. attorney's office that's a really good one, and there are a bunch of them, not just my own. And I don't know about my own. It's not mine anymore. I mean, they tried to put me in jail and failed and had to write a letter to the grand jury. And the only way, Madam Attorney General, that you're going to straighten out the Justice Department is by not appointing special prosecutors. Show them the Justice Department can do the job, like you did with the Deputy Attorney General. He pulls this off. He straightens this out. Not only have you fixed the Epstein thing, but you got 10 points toward people trusting the Justice Department again. You go get somebody from a Wall Street or Miami or Washington law firm, and he probably screws it up and leaks the whole damn thing. But suppose he does it right. And then the tough things have to be done outside the Justice Department. You might have solved the case, but you haven't fixed the institution. Does that make sense, Ted? I've been
absolutely. I mean,
years.
You know this better than anyone.
I've been preaching this for years, and there's just such a I hate to say this, but if your natural instinct is public relations, you're going to go for the special prosecutor, strike force, all the bells and whistles. If your natural inclination is tough, hard investigating, and you've really had experience getting the worst criminals, you don't build up something big to go after them. First of all, you don't want them to know you did that. You come at them this way. I didn't go announce that I had a big thing to go after the mafia or Milken or the Nazis, or I just went after them. And then they found out after it was too late.
For our audience, Mayor, what do you?
Very sad to see this. It's very hard on me. Please don't feel sorry for me. But I took this very seriously, and to watch amateurs screw it up under very, very serious circumstances is painful. And maybe I'm being too harsh. I don't know. It could be. Sometimes my closest advisors would say I'm too tough on the people who work with me, and I expect too much. And it's possible. Somehow I thought that's how I got extraordinary results. But there was another point to it. So I think the Obama coup isn't going away. No matter how much the Democrats yell and scream and huff and puff and try to make Epstein into a big thing, the two things are separate. Whether there's an Epstein problem or not doesn't mean there isn't. Obama was a really dishonest and crooked president. And any honest, decent president would never have let, all you have to know, he never let Biden do the things he did if he had that much ethics. And if you don't have that much ethics, you can have that much criminality. You could. I'm not saying he did. It's alleged. But it's sure there for investigating. It has been there for investigating for 4 years. And I do think Obama's not getting away with not getting investigated. Let's hope it gets beyond Congress and into the hands of prosecutors. And if it has to be a special prosecutor or a strike force or an emperor, or whatever you want to call it, if we have to have a theme song for it, anything that gets him investigated, because that guy was the beginning of the real jump forward in the communists taking over our government. If it happened under Clinton, it happened inadvertently. He was trained to be a Marxist. And with this ridiculous oppressed philosophy and this ridiculous colonialist philosophy, which is also part of Obama's sickness. And if you heard him the other day being interviewed, don't get too impressed with Obama's I used to count them. Somebody pushed that guy forward because they wanted him there, hopefully in the right place at the right time, to start to destroy our culture, destroy our country. When I said he didn't love our country, I actually didn't know how bad it was. And I resisted people who would tell me how bad it was. I thought he just didn't love our country. I didn't think he hated us. Now I'm convinced that he hated us. No other president would have allowed that to happen. So the Obama investigation is, I don't think that's going away. They're going to try everything. They're going to huff and they're going to puff and they're going to try to blow the house down. But it's as you can see from the stuff, Tulsi's got a lot more to go. There's a lot more. This is good, and it's a lot, but there's a lot more. So Adams and Mondami and Curtis Sliwa and Andrew Cuomo are in a race for my former position as mayor of New York City. And with the exception of Curtis, who would be a good mayor, but whose chances we have to realistically evaluate, just because we live in a real world, and I'm not going to blow smoke at you. You got three really messed up people there. Mondami's the worst. He's the worst because he's for real. He's really a communist. We probably have had other communists run before. I think de Blasio was a communist. His mom was. He was a terrible mayor. Worse than Adams. Adams, for whatever you think of Adams will not be the worst mayor in New York history. De Blasio will, and Dinkins will be number two. And Adams has tried, given his limited, first of all, the limitations placed around him by a completely radical government. And then his own limitations in terms of being willing to challenge it consistently. He was willing to challenge it enough to get himself in trouble, but not enough to really make a difference. It's kind of sad, actually. So I don't know what's going to happen. Kristi Noem, the Secretary of Homeland Security, has done a very, very good thing in focusing on the sanctuary city laws in New York. And she beat up Adams pretty badly. I have at times beaten up Adams pretty badly about it also. However, I do think, and I think it is, and you know, sometimes if a person saves a life or saves something, the motive, at least if you're alive, isn't as important as the fact that they did it. I think Adams wants to get out of the sanctuary city laws. So I think Christie, who's a really good friend, I think you're beating on the wrong guy here. I think this guy wants to cooperate. The rest of the city completely against it. So let me explain to you how that is. New York City has passed a law which theoretically would bind the mayor, right? That you cannot turn over information about aliens to the federal government. The law applies without any doubt to those who haven't committed a crime. And there are penalties for it, maybe even criminal, I'm not sure. It also is ambiguous enough. So it applies to people who have, and it does apply to detainers. Now, what does a detainer mean? A detainer means I'm an immigration agent and I find out that there's a guy I think in New York, who's going to get out of jail, who raped 3 people in Nicaragua. And when we let him in, we didn't know that. And therefore, when he gets out of jail in New York, I want him turned over to me so he doesn't end up in the community raping people. This is real. This must have happened 100 times, 1,000 times in New York and Boston. The law prohibits turning that information over. In fact, Adams tried to get around that by putting an office for ICE in Rikers Island so they could more easily serve these detainers. The city council passed another law throwing them out. Now, that office was there. I didn't put it there. It was there forever. Why in the name of heaven, if a guy's getting out of jail and the federal government says this guy is a convicted rapist, possibly even in America, but in Nicaragua, why wouldn't I turn him over to the federal agents? There's nothing in the world that'll explain that to me. And when you try to explain that to me, I think there's something seriously wrong with you. I think you're either a criminal working for criminals or you're so damn stupid, you should get somebody to help you walk across the street. I don't have even any tolerance. I don't even want to think about it. I just throw you out of my office, forget them, not around, I don't listen to it. Finally, somebody should sit down with Adams, and he refuses to sit down with me. I've offered any number of times and never follows up. Adams can violate all those laws. Where under the Constitution does the little crooked, disgusting, ignorant, stupid group of morons who make up the city council of New York, where do they get the right to supersede federal law? Don't these half-wit morons realize there's a supremacy clause in the Constitution that says that federal law in areas that are areas of federal empowerment is supreme? Now, you say to me, what about states' rights? Well, states' rights are really important. Those are in areas where the federal government hasn't been given the power. The Constitution even says it. It says where the power has not been vested in a branch of government, it reverts to the people in the states. Immigration is not some kind of a subject. It's been given to the executive and legislative branches of our government to control immigration, not even the courts. So when a federal agent is trying to enforce a federal law, civil or criminal, in which federal law supersedes state law, which immigration does, any law or attempt to obstruct that is a crime. So you want to have some fun? Indict the whole city council for the law they passed. And Adams violated because you took an oath to uphold the Constitution of the United States, and you're violating it. And you know you are. You're a cop. You know you are. You know they can't do this. You're just scared. Well, we don't need scared people anymore. That's why I don't know who the hell's going to beat Mondami. Of course you'd be better than Mondami. Even with all the stupid things you do, you'd be better than Mondami. But this is ridiculous that you play this game that you sanctuary city laws are completely illegal. The people who are refusing to turn over criminals or even illegals to the federal government should be prosecuted, so we test that. And we should start with mayors and council members if we have to. This is our law. It's not theirs. And it's really important if you want to preserve the United States. I don't know if you realize what they've been trying to do to us. What they're trying to do to us is destroy this country. And one of the ways, of which there are many, is to flood us with people who are extraordinarily disturbed human beings. Do you think it's an accident that we've had as many criminal illegal aliens as we have? And people who say, oh, it's no, they're more domestic criminals than among the aliens. Well, first of all, that used to be true when there was control over illegal immigration and we vetted people. Another report today that we didn't vet anybody that came in. That's completely different when you just open the borders and say, send me any bum that you want. Well, they do, and they did. Finally, what a stupid argument anyway. If American citizens are committing crimes, either born here or naturalized, we're stuck with that. That's a given. We got to deal with it. Why would we want to bring in a bunch more criminals, even proportionately? In other words, we should bring in criminals that are equal to the percentage of criminals we have in America. That should be our immigration law. This is what they're telling you. This is what these damn morons are telling you. And this is what the American people listen to. Get some brains. Think about that. Let's say that, I don't even know what the percentage of Americans that are criminals is. What do you think it is? 8%? Let's make a percentage, 10%. So now, according to the liberals, if 8% of the illegals we bring in are criminals, that's okay. It only is bad if it goes over 10%. What the hell is that based on? Why should we bring any criminals in? Why should we add to a problem we already have? Suppose the ones we bring in commit crime at half the rate that Americans commit. That's still a lot of crime that we shouldn't have to deal with if we're going to deal with our domestic crime. It's the most idiotic, moronic, jerky argument I've ever heard from people who are trying to justify something completely immoral. And we don't have the brain power to analyze it anymore because we had schools like Harvard. That's where these jackasses went, to schools like that. So let's see what happens with, I'm anxious to see what the result of this Ghislaine Maxwell situation is. Since I have no take on her at all, I can't even give you a guess as to whether she's going to lie, jerk around, tell the truth. I always begin with the fact they always lie at first. If he got it in one interview, sometimes. I remember some people that did that. They just, oh boy, I'm turning, that's it, here it is. But most of the time it's 3, 4, 5, and they forgot something and they left something out that's really harmful, left something out that's really embarrassing, left something out, there's one person they want to protect, or two people they want to, or a bunch of people they want to protect. It's a process, but it's a good process to have started. So Epstein, I don't know what process will be followed as to how we find out about this. It's not necessarily privilege unless it was made that way. It doesn't fit like an established rule. They probably made some agreement about the disclosure of it that we'll have to find out. On the other show, we spent a little time talking about the sentencing yesterday in the Kohberger case, where he brutally, savagely butchered 4 young students in the University of Idaho, and for some reason left 2 unattacked. One young lady, Kaylee Gonzalez, he stabbed her more than 20 times. He left her unrecognizable. Her facial structure was extremely damaged. Another young lady, Xana Kernodle, he stabbed 50 times. With the police indicating that she attempted to fight him off. He also, it's very hard to go through this. I don't know if you want to go through this. What I really recommend is going on, you probably can get it on YouTube, but go listen to, if you're up to it, go listen to the family of particularly Kaylee Gonzalez, her sister and her father. If they don't make you understand that the worst thing about Democrats in America is that they give the kind of consideration that the Gonzalezes should have to the criminal, which is why I was part a long time ago of starting a victims' rights movement. We think that the only rights involved are the rights of the criminal. The liberals do. The left-wing Marxist fools. They don't realize the incredible amount of destruction that's done by these crimes. Maybe the saddest of all are the 2 young girls. In some ways, you say, well, of course, they were spared. The 2 young girls that he didn't kill because he went past the first 4. One of them was, I think it was Ethan Chapin, was instrumental in helping to identify him because she saw him vaguely. The 2 of them are suffering, according to the reports, and they're suffering from tremendous amount of survivor's guilt. They just don't understand why they're alive, or they keep thinking, should I have done this? Should I have? What a burden to put on somebody. And then you have things like this happening. So there's a serial shoplifter in New York whose name is Larry Mack. And he has been arrested 200 times. And he got arrested. He got arrested last week for kicking around a post photographer. Of course, he was released immediately. And then he got arrested on Wednesday, which was yesterday, right? By trying to steal from another store. And he was released on bail immediately so they don't interrupt the stealing. Do you understand? Do you understand how it is possible for judges in a city that's considered to be, an intelligent city, after 200 times, to keep still playing the game? Now, he says it's because the state passed a law, et cetera, et cetera, et cetera. And of course, the state legislature is made up of people who were, considered to be wild and crazy, socialist, communist, criminal lovers. And Mondami makes them look, not so bad. So if I were that judge, and you say to me, well, I have to follow the law, I would say, no, yeah, I do. But they're also, in the American tradition, there's law and equity. And that goes back to, and is built into our Constitution. And the state legislature never contemplated 200 arrests. So therefore, I'm going to hold this person without bail. Stuff it and take it on appeal. See if we can create some new law in favor of the victims. All we do is create new law in favor of the murderers, the rapists, the illegal aliens, and the people who want to hurt you. Because that's where the Democrats get their vote. That's what they got to count on. This is political. You don't see this kind of crime in Republican cities. But Republicans don't count on the vote of criminals and criminal lovers and people who are sympathetic with criminals. So, the real reason that Kristi Noem is angry is that there's been so many detainers filed in New York that weren't complied with. I think I see a number of 6,000. And these people are committing serious crimes. Now, for example, Miguel Francisco Mora Nunez, 21, had already received a deportation order before he ambushed an officer and a female companion and shot them. So if the city had complied, the guy wouldn't have been shot. And Adams is the one who didn't comply. So that's why she was angry at Adams. I don't blame her. And I know it requires a little out-of-the-box thinking, but Adams just should ignore the law. Adams should say the law is unconstitutional. I took an oath like you did. There's a constitution. The federal law is supreme. Everybody knows that. He'd probably have to get to the Supreme Court before he would be vindicated, but he'd be vindicated. Let me leave you with one lighter one, but it's equally stupid. And I don't know how this turned out. And because you didn't put my thing in there, I don't know. It's not even working.
It's plugged in.
Well, it's not working. But in any event, I don't know the answer to this, but I'm going to tell you the story anyway. I'm going to see if Ted can get this working so I can show you the pictures. A young boy named Marco Rocco plays Little League Baseball, like I'm sure many of you did and I did. And he's 12, I think, and he plays Little League Baseball in New Jersey. And he plays for a team. That is like going into the finals on the way to the Little League World Series in Williamsport. And they may have won the semifinal game. They won the semifinal game 12-0. During the semifinal game, Marco Rocco hit a home run. That's a pretty big thing for a 12-year-old, right? Hit a home run in a. Wow, yeah. As he left the batter's box, he threw the bat in the air. They ejected him from the game. and they suspended him from the league. So he can't play. He was banned from playing in tonight's championship game. Now, there is no written rule in Little League Baseball that you can't flip your bat. There is a rule that you can't engage in unsportsmanlike conduct, but it's never been defined as flipping your bat. There is an extraordinarily famous situation, and I'll get you the situation in a minute.
Let's play this one first. Here's the
in which little leaguers have done this all the time. This is like a new rule. They're making up for this kid, Marco.
To go with it. That is one of the highest backflips I have ever seen.
1-1. Hammer! Left field! Oh!
The backflip to go with it. That is one of the highest backflips I have ever seen.
Watch him going around third.
Let me hear it from you. Let me hear it, crowd. Little Hulk Hogan, baby. Let's go.
1-1.
one more time.
Hammer! Left field!
What's the
The
backflip?
backflip to go with
That
it.
right there.
That is one of the
Wow, you
highest
got props
backflips
for that.
I have ever seen.
Watch him going around third.
This was 2 years ago. That's not him. That's not Rocco. That's a prior. That's a prior one, as far as I know. Is it, or was that Rocco?
That was Rocco.
That was Rocco. Okay. Well, then the one that we have to find. Let me see if
Marco's below.
What?
So above is the famous one you were talking about, Todd Frazier, and then below is Marco.
What?
There's actually two.
I don't know what you're talking about.
Oh, there's two videos here. I'll
Well, then
play.
maybe we should explain them.
Yep. The top one is from a couple years ago, and the bottom one is from Mo Rocco. So
here's the one. Retired major leaguer Todd Frazier,
that was the top one. That was Todd Frazier,
who was himself a 1998 Little League World Champion, called the 2022 Little League World Series game, where he marveled over Nicaragua's Luis Garcia's post-homer celebration. The bat flip to go with it. This is one of the highest bat flips I've ever seen, said the.
bottom is Mo Rocco. The top one was the one from a couple years ago.
Okay, so the other guy, that other guy from Nicaragua,
Is top, and Marco is bottom.
so the guy from Nicaragua never got suspended, never got taken out of the game.
Yep, and you're
There's
right,
no
Mayor.
written
You had it right.
rule.
You had it right. The bottom is
No one seems to know that there is such a rule. And I'm told there are dozens of others of these Little League bat flips all over Little League history. And they even said, because when they got jammed on it, they said, oh, this is, there is no bat flip rule. There is no rule that Little League Baseball says you can't. The Nazis who are doing this have decided that it's unsportsmanlike conduct. Now, there was nobody around him. That bat landed on the grass. There's no way anybody's going to get hurt with it. And if you want them not to flip bats, then have a rule telling them not to flip bats. I'm okay with that. And if they do it the first time, tell them no. And the second time, do something. These are kids.
Well, we have breaking news on this very story, Mayor. A judge stepped in tonight, and the New Jersey Little League player who was suspended will get to play.
So he got to play tonight.
He is playing. I guess he's probably playing now.
God bless him. God bless the judge.
Gloucester County. Is that Gloucester County?
Gloucester County.
Gloucester County Chancery Judge.
What?
It was a Chancery judge.
Well, that's good. The Chancery Court is the court of equity.
He said that the Little League hadn't
They
been.
have that in New Jersey. They still have a court of equity. Remember I told you can use equity power? In England, there used to be two courts, the King's Court and the Court of Equity. When it came over to America, we merged them, except in a few places like Delaware, New Jersey, we have an equity court.
And the equity court said the Little League hadn't been clear or consistent about its stance on bat flipping. Quote, if you're going to have rules and enforce them, they can't be enforced arbitrarily and capriciously. I'm going to allow him to play in tonight's game.
God bless you, Judge. Hope he's a Democrat.
I want to know, who are the board members of this league that are banning?
You know, look at it again, Ted. It wasn't even a particularly offensive one.
Right. Let's put it back up.
I mean, if there were a bunch of kids around and he threw it, I could see. I mean, neither the first one nor the second one was particularly offensive.
I think you're right. I think he's at the top, and the bottom is
no, the bottom is the
professional
Nicaraguan kid,
or the yeah.
Who looks like he's 15, by the way.
Another Danny Almonte situation.
I don't know. I was at that game with Danny.
You defended him, didn't you?
Of course I defended him. He's a New Yorker. I'm a lawyer, right?
I got that one right. What? So good news. Now we'll have to see how he's doing. Wouldn't that be amazing if he hit another home run?
Remarkable. They look like almost the same home run.
Right. And I think that's why someone mashed these two together. And it proves a point that Little League isn't being consistent.
I'd make a couple of points for him. He threw the bat. Nobody was around. And he watched where it landed. So he didn't do it recklessly. Actually, this kid threw it a little more recklessly. He threw it toward the dugout. I mean, neither should either. I mean, it's ridiculous. Now, how do you do that when you got this all over television? That looks like it was in the Little League World Series. That looks like it was. That looks like Williamsport. Have you ever been there?
You and me went by. I haven't been there for the game, but we drove.
I went there when Danny was playing.
Yeah. You and I drove by the stadium in Pennsylvania. What's the town? On our way to East Palestine.
I'm not sure that's. They have an outfield where you sit on the grass.
Like we were there.
The outfield stands. You sit on the grass.
Williamsport. If I had time, I'd dig up those pics.
North of.
We went right.
It's north of Gettysburg, very straight north of Gettysburg.
I bet you I have pictures in my phone somewhere.
It's a great ballpark.
It was a great.
And of course, they go. I mean, if you just go for the one game or two, they go for like a week, I think.
Yeah.
And it's like a round robin. They can lose a game, but they can't lose two. I think. I don't remember. There were so many of these tournaments. They have so many different rules, and they change them all the time. It's hard to remember. But when I saw this morning, I got really upset. My sense of equity and justice, and I'm so glad it's a Chancery Court. The court. So now I'm going to recommend a movie that you watch. You should watch Beckett. Beckett is a movie about Henry II taking his best friend, Thomas Becket. And Thomas Becket was his sort of pal that he palled around with. And he was a Norman, Henry II was. And Becket was a Saxon, and they had just been conquered by England, by Norman, but the Normans had conquered England. And they became very close friends. And he made him chancellor of the kingdom. Now, the chancellor was sort of acted for the king. Chief of staff, but more powerful. Had a great big thing. And over the years, the courts started under the king. And the courts would sometimes be too harsh. So somebody went to the chancellor one day and said, "Can you change that? He charged me too much for all those cows." And the chancellor said, "Yeah, it was unfair, but we're going to change it." And then sometimes there'd be a criminal case. So you ended up eventually over a couple hundred years with two courts, the King's Court and the Chancellor's Court, called the Chancery. And if you felt that you were particularly unfairly treated by a very harsh application of the law, you could appeal to the chancellor. And a whole group of laws developed under that, called the laws of equity. When we became a colony and then eventually a country, we copied the English system. And in most cases, we had a king's court and a chancery court. But when we became a country, we did away with, we merged them. And we took all the law that had been developed in the chancery court and we put it under the federal court or the local court, so that the judge would have the ability to make exceptions the way the chancery judges did. A few states didn't do it. New Jersey, Delaware, I'd have to go figure out the others. So this judge, although of course he has to operate within the law, does have a little more freedom to say, this is unfair. And really, this was unfair. This was just unfair. How would he know he's not supposed to do that? Well, I'm glad to see that the law worked. And all these thousands of years of developing, not thousands, 1,000 years of developing law and chancery actually does work. Boy, does it get distorted in Delaware, which, due to the influence of the Bidens, has become one hell of a stinky court. Ooh. You know, a lot of corporations are moving out of Delaware.
Oh, yeah.
A lot. Even when I was practicing law, I had some very big clients. One decided to move to Texas, one decided to move to New Hampshire because they felt that the courts in Delaware were.
Wow. Yeah,
now, I'm not enough of an expert on that to tell you. I am an expert about the New York Democrat courts to tell you they're a bunch of crooks. Well, they're political. They're completely political. When I say crooks, what I mean is on a political case, their party is more important than the law in almost every case. And that's been true for over 150 years because of the appointment system that our phony bar associations and judges and very important lawyers allow all the time. Our judges, like the ones who judged me and Trump, were appointed by Democratic bosses. And if you think they were appointed because of how fair and judicious they are, then you got another thing coming. You don't know a Democratic boss. And one of them committed suicide on me, who was allegedly making, but he committed suicide before we could prove it, although we were able to prove that he took oodles of dollars in bribes, but he was getting like $100,000 a judgeship. That was just a few years ago. I don't know, it could still go on. Democratic bosses in New York don't appear to me to be terribly different, and there has to be some explanation for why New York City, as a city of 8 million, spends more money than the entire state of Florida as a state of 22 million. Must be a lot of graft and bribery that goes into that, huh? And when you get appointed by a party boss, you think maybe he can come in and make you require that you be loyal to the party? And therefore you get these ridiculous gerrymandering decisions like we got recently, or ridiculous decisions like Anger Moron against Trump, which still hasn't been reversed. How long are they going to sit on that case? The Democrat appointed so-called judges in New York. It's a shame. We should hold them up on a pinnacle. And they want to be held up on a pinnacle. But we can't do it when they're robbing us of justice. We can't do it when they are the antithesis of what they're supposed to be. And then they're not entitled to respect if they act unethically or illegally. In fact, they're entitled to what happens to us if we act illegally, and it doesn't happen. So we're going to do a whole thing on courts. It's another area, very delicate, very hard to get to without going too far and destroying the system of justice. But we have to get to it. Otherwise, we're never going to be the America that we used to be. Well, pray, please, pray for those parents who that guy Kohberger, who destroyed their lives.
Oh my goodness.
But pray for them. Pray for God to give them
So bad.
the
Awful.
wisdom to accept it, the wisdom, the strength to accept it, and maybe a way of looking at it so that they can make something good come out of this. That's, I look at Tunnel to Towers that, I urge you to please send your $11 to. But the Stiller family did exactly that with the loss of their wonderful brother. They turned it into something wonderful. We don't have to do exactly that. That's a big, big thing. But turn it into something good, maybe fighting for victims. Or they're the most ignored people in the criminal justice system. The defendants get all the attention, and the victims get. And pray for the people in Israel and for the people in Ukraine, people in Iran, and everybody in the United States, and pray for our president, that he continues to have the wisdom to lead us through a very, very difficult time, that he's making a lot better. We've got a lot of hope, a lot of positive achievements already, but a long way to go also. So thank you, dear God. God bless America.
It's our purpose to bring to bear the principle of common sense and rational discussion to the issues of our day. America was created at a time of great turmoil, tremendous disagreements, anger, hatred. There was a book written in 1776 that guided much of the discipline of thinking that brought to us the discovery of our freedoms, of our God-given freedoms. It was Thomas Paine's Common Sense, written in 1776, one of the first American bestsellers, in which Thomas Paine explained, by rational principles, the reason why these small colonies felt the necessity to separate from the Kingdom of Great Britain and the King of England. He explained their inherent desire for liberty, for freedom, freedom of religion, freedom of speech, the ability to select the people who govern them. And he explained it in ways that were understandable to all the people, not just the elite. Because the desire for freedom is universal. The desire for freedom adheres in the human mind, and it is part of the human soul. This is exactly the time we should consult our history. Look at what we've done in the past and see if we can't use it to help us now. We understand that our founders created the greatest country in the history of the world, the greatest democracy, the freest country, a country that has taken more people out of poverty than any country ever. All of us are so fortunate to be Americans. But a great deal of the reason for America's constant ability to self-improve is because we're able to reason, we're able to talk, we're able to analyze. We are able to apply